people could stand right in the middle of heaven, right in the middle of the Garden of Eden, right in the middle of the life they're living right now. This is the Double A Show, where we believe in the Bible but ridicule the crap out of old church teachings. Today, we're going back to the Garden of Eden and taking a much better look at the original mistake. Of the life they're living right now, and it could be absolutely perfect, but they'd never see it because their perception is eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. They're listening to a serpent talking to them, trying to get them to judge good and bad about everything they do in life, and that fucks it up. It messes it all up.
Double.
Hey everybody, this is Greg Aalvik. Welcome to the Double A Show, and check it out. A lot of things in our past, from generations gone by, have come along and messed us up and attacked our thought life and gave us weird, funky ideas, especially from church, and that's where I'm focused on, the funky ideas we got from church, and we need to change them. Anytime you're adjusting your thinking and adding more truth in there, it changes your spiritual experience and you become more spiritually successful. Look at that. What was the fall of man? Trying to get them to judge good and bad about everything they do in life, and that fucks it up. It messes it all up. Nothing actually changed. Adam was called the knowledge of good and evil. That's the poison. And this change is simply in their perception and in their perspective. And the knowledge of good and evil is a mindset they stepped into. The knowledge of good and evil changed the way they looked at everything. And it changes the way we look at everything. This is supposed to be paradise, right? The image of perfection, right? They were removed from this seemingly perfect state of living because they were no longer able to see it that way anymore. They were thrown out. They were standing in the middle of perfection. This is my pet peeve right here. I can't even tell you how irritating it is to use. And it's actually kind of simple. Read the story the way they told you in Sunday school, though. Well, you'd have to be a small child to believe that shit. And I'm talking small child, too. You get to be about 5 or 6 and you're way too smart for this story. If we look at Genesis 2, we know Adam was killing it in Genesis 2, right? Because nothing's gone wrong yet. He's been naming everything. And Eve just come off the assembly line. And he looks at, whoa, look at her. Man, brand new model 0. Female of the species. Eve, she was fine too, boy. Anyway, the repeated picture in the Bible is often that the husband symbolizes God and the woman symbolizes man. Got that? The husband symbolizes God in the picture and the woman symbolizes man. So in Genesis, one comes out of the other. Man came out of God because God breathed into them, right? In the same way, woman came out of man, right? Remember, fell asleep, took the rib out of his side. Woman, boom, right out of the man. And woman comes right out of the very body of the man, the exact same way that mankind and all of us originally comes out of God's body. But God don't have a physical body. God's got a spiritual body. And we've been pulled right out of the being of God himself. And that's cool, man. Knowing your origin is of God. Bits and pieces of God went into making us. And I find the least churched among us accept this as truth a lot more readily. But The weird part is the fact that people that go to church and read the Bible really struggle tremendously with this fact that the very essence of our being is from God. They struggle with that, even though that's what the Bible says. We're stuck with this old notion of original sin. And so it just got deep, right? But listen, original sin. So it's a belief that depends on man being completely depraved, right? Down to the core. And this doctrine insists that if everything human was peeled off and peeled away, and you're going to look at the core of what is the very essence of what man is, you'd find evil. Yet here the Bible itself is telling us the very core and nature of our being is God. So is God evil? Is that what those who insist on original sin are saying? There are a lot of fun implications that we could trip off of when we look at Genesis, but I got to try not to wander off too much. Imagine Genesis being like a dream of sorts. What you're seeing is a series of quick vignettes floating through our consciousness. There's voices speaking out of darkness. This and that were appearing in water, land, vegetation, fish, animals, and you're seeing all this stuff, right? Kind of writing it all down in the order that you're seeing it. Then it zooms back and we watch in more detail. There's God forming man out of the dust of the earth. Wait, now God puts Adam to sleep, right? And he pulls another creature right out of his side, and they're both chilling and everything seems good. Even God says it's good. Hey, that's pretty good. He didn't even say pretty good. He said, that's good. We see here in Genesis 2 that Adam wants to do this bonding thing with Eve. So he wants to lock her down, you know. He gave her, he wanted to have her all to himself. To me, that's proof that we weren't the only people around. They weren't the only people around. Because there had to be other dudes that were hitting on Eve, right? That's the only explanation for putting a ring on it, right? In Genesis 2:25, when Adam goes, Adam and his wife were both naked and they felt no shame. He was trying to lock it down. He was trying to get with that woman and have it be forever and everything, right? And because he was lonely before that. It say that in the Bible. He was lonely, wasn't really digging. It's not good that man be alone, right? But, you know, so it says here, toward the end of Genesis 2, he says they were both naked and didn't feel no shame. Now pay attention, because here's some conjecture coming out. It's just my thought, my opinion. Okay, they were actually naked. Nowhere does it say they were clothed in light or were clothed in any kind of... They were clothed in God's glory. Doesn't say that. A lot of people say that because they're shamed of nakedness and they want to be shamed of nakedness. It only says, and they were naked and felt no shame. It even says that. They didn't feel shame because they didn't know it was bad. They didn't know good and evil yet, right? To be naked. Saying something in what they ate had to make them feel the shame about being naked. Is that too simple? It wasn't God. God made them naked. God didn't clothe them. He put clothes on them. He made them bare-ass naked. This is important, folks. Naked. Then they eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil and instantly feel shame. Shame. It was the poison. Their eyes were immediately opened to the wisdom of evil, to the wisdom of right and wrong. Adam thought it through and came to the conclusion that nakedness is shameful. Do you think nakedness is shameful? Do you think, when you think about it, do you think it's shameful? Can you argue the point? Well, yeah, you don't run around in public because people and there's kids and there's different things going on, and you might see and someone might get an idea. Is it possible to present a good case for clothing? Could you do it? Could you be the attorney? Can you make a good argument? The weather, we need it for weather and protection. Does a bunch of reasons pop into your head? The pros and cons of nakedness. I'm sure growing up in this society as we have, it'd be a long-ass list. And I could join you in adding to the list morally and coming up with all kinds of sound reasons for being shamed to go around naked in public. I have them dreams too. I was naked and I couldn't get away, and there was all these people around, and I was naked, and it just didn't. But look, if you can see that and admit to that, yeah, and you might be one of these hippies, you know, it's not, and that's great. You're overcoming, but look what you've been infected with. Just look now. Did you have that little list going in your head? That's right. That's the knowledge of good and evil, bro. That's the knowledge of good and evil, ma'am. Come on. There it is, right there. We just exposed the truth. The Bible's right. The fall of man is a thing. All of us judge shit using the knowledge of good and evil. Bam, busted, right? Think about it. Go to places untouched by society, and these same standards don't really exist. A lot of these, and we look down on when we were Christian societies, we'd go in with our suits and ties and Bibles and be missionaries to a bunch of naked people. And we go, you shouldn't be running around naked. What were we telling them? We were getting them, and we were the snake, getting them indoctrinated with the knowledge of good and evil. These guys had no reason to suddenly go hide from God. In today's language, we'd call it the tree of the shittiest way to think there is. But the good old King James said, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and this will kill you. Not God. God don't want no one to die. It's the poison. The second you eat that shit, you're a dead man. Yet you'll be walking around thinking, look at this shit. I'm still alive. I'm still alive. Not to God. Spiritually, you're dead. When you're standing here on earth and you begin judging what's good and evil, you kill everything. And you even kill yourself. Your thinking is fucked up permanently. It knocks us out of paradise. It kicks us out. But God placed an angel there, and a lot of people say that angel was to keep us from going back in. But the Bible says the angel was placed there to keep the way to the Garden of Eden. So I'm going to go with that. I kind of like that idea. I'm going to say there's an angel standing guard, making sure you have a way back to a better way of thinking. So consider the knowledge of good and evil and the tree of life. And in the meantime, this is Dubl, the Dubl show. You like my mug? Man, I got it. It's here. And you could be a Dubl show fan. I like this, and you would be supporting me in the show, and you all be listening to Dubl tell some Bible stories going forward. I want you to hit the like button. Thank you for watching this part of the series. Hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button. That's a lot of button pushing. And I'm having fun, but this is cool, man. Thank you all for hanging out with me today. Thank you all for watching. Look for my next one. I'm going to try to hit it within the week or so. Appreciate you. I love you guys, and peace. All right? We're going to lock this thing up right now. All right. Double.